Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And I hope you've enjoyed your tour so far. You've been on your feet for a while, so we've prepared a little break for you. You can sit down and rest while I give you some information on certain requirements pharmaceutical companies have to meet. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions as we go along. What are these requirements? There are many, many rules that people who work in pharmaceutical companies have to follow, and they are regularly checked by the regulatory authorities. Following these rules is called compliance. So, let me give you a brief overview of what that means for our people in production. Compliance means following the rules, but the rules themselves are known as GMP, or Good Manufacturing Practice. They provide a very high standard which people have to follow during the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products. For example, GMP covers how to design and construct buildings so that the flow of materials is optimized and so that they can be cleaned easily.
Excuse me, but what do you mean by optimize the flow of materials?
Well, we have to make sure that there are no mix-ups of materials throughout the whole manufacturing process. On your tour, you probably noticed the different colours of the separate areas or the markings on the floor. This ensures that there is always adequate space for a particular function, and it minimises the chances of mistakes happening. The building is just one aspect of GMP. In addition to this, GMP also covers areas such as the type of clothing to wear while working, the documentation that is necessary, and the training that employees get on a regular basis.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
How can authorities check that? Do they make surprise visits?
No, they announce their visits to the company about 8 weeks in advance. That gives us time to prepare everything that they need to see. This way we ensure that neither the inspectors nor our time is wasted. Coming back to compliance. For us, that means we always wear appropriate clothing and we check that equipment is clean or sterile and calibrated before using it. And last but definitely not least, we keep a very close eye on our documentation. Moving on to my next point, I'd like to say a few words about another aspect of GMP. In order to receive valid and reliable results, all devices and methods have to undergo a validation process. Before a device can be used, we have to ensure that it works properly. The same is true for methods. This validation process has to be repeated on a regular basis.
Excuse me, one question. How often is on a regular basis? Is that every 3 months or every 5 years?
That really depends on what's being validated. But in general, you could say once a year. As a final point, I'd like to mention the many people who do all the lab work as required by GMP. Without all these technicians, it would be impossible to bring safe products onto the market. These technicians perform tests on the raw materials used in drugs to make sure they meet the high-quality specifications. Active ingredients, as well as all the excipients, are tested. Some of the work the technicians do for the production department includes various interim analyses during the process. Testing at this stage shows how long the product will hold up under certain conditions, like temperature and humidity. During production, samples are taken at critical stages and tested to make sure, for example, that no contamination has occurred. Technicians also check the samples for content uniformity, content weight, and so on. The list of tests done during the production process is, however, long. To be honest, if I went into detail about each of these very important tasks, we'd be here for at least a week. So that brings me to the end of this brief overview of GMP requirements, compliance, and the implications for pharmaceutical companies. Are there any further questions?
No.
No? All right then. Would you like to follow me to the packaging area now?
Yeah.